Welcome in, Dween Nation. This is your host, Justin Pies, alongside Genoa Agudelo, and we are here for our second week edition of the Rapid Fire Game Predictions, going through every single NFL game on the Week 2 slate, predicting the winners, and discussing some interesting games that we find this week and want to discuss. And before we do all that fun stuff, how are you doing, Genoa?
Yo, Dween Nation. Justin, I'm doing great. Week 2 is upon us, and I'm so excited. I mean, let's get this on, Justin. Week 2 is going to be phenomenal. I mean, I'm excited about these two Monday night games, one of them which I'll be in. I'll be there in Houston to see Buccaneers. Hopefully, my Texans can get on a victory. But very excited about that. And then Thursday night, how can you not be excited about Jordan Love versus Jaden Daniels? And then, lastly, then that Monday night slate, the Raiders, Chargers. I think Justin Herbert could be on an MVP campaign. And you know what? The Vegas Raiders look great there, Justin. So I'm so excited for this. And yeah.
Yeah, no, I love what we got lined up this week. Although week 1 had some pretty big highlights, the Sunday night football game was great. The surprise of the Lions was shocking. What else? The Minnesota comeback on Monday night was great. Atlanta's game was really good. The Chiefs go down in week 1 was surprising. The Eagles game was a fun watch to start the season.
Yeah.
I think a couple of, the Steelers game was like a shootout that we would never expected. I would have thought it was like the lowest scoring game of the week. That did not happen at all. So this week is going to bring a lot of fun and surprises. And we're here to tell you what's going to happen. But I'm ready. Do you have my timer set up for me to rock and roll?
It's ready to go, Justin. I think last week you were at 1 minute and 57 seconds.
All right.
You can go slower or faster. I'm not going to get mad at you.
All right. Then I am ready. I'm ready to rock and roll.
All right. Ready? In 3, 2, 1, and go.
All right. Thursday night football, Commanders at Green Bay. What Green Bay showed me last week, they're dangerous, and they might be the NFC favorite. I'll go with the Packers there. We moved to Jacksonville at Cincinnati. Cincinnati started out slow. They were able to beat the Browns. They are not able to beat the Jaguars. Give me the Jaguars on the road. Giants go to Dallas. I think this is a big Dallas victory. They win by double digits. I'll go with the Cowboys there. Bears at Lions. We saw the Bears have a good first half, sloppy second half, but the Lions had an entire bad game. I'm going to go with the Bears to steal one on the road here. Rams at Titans. Give me the Rams. Their defense looks like a juggernaut. I'll take Los Angeles. The Patriots at the Dolphins. The Dolphins are dumpster fires, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to go with the Patriots to get their first win under Mike Vrabel. 49ers at Saints. I'll go with the 49ers. I don't care if it's Brock Purdy or Mac Jones. Buffalo at the Jets. This probably is my game of the week. I'm going to take the Bills, though, to win on the road. Seattle at Pittsburgh. I'm going to go with Aaron Rodgers and the team to get it done, but it's not going to be as much of fireworks as it was last week against the Jets. Cleveland at Baltimore. I'll take Baltimore easily. Denver at the Colts. I'm going to take the Colts to get an upset, even though it is at home. I think Daniel Jones, Jonathan Taylor, is going to be mad from fumbling on the end zone last time they played. I'll take Taylor and the Colts. Carolina at Arizona. I'm going to go with the Cardinals. I don't love this game, though. Philadelphia at Kansas City. Super Bowl rematch. The Eagles are 2 up on the Chiefs in their last 2 games, so I'll go to the Eagles here. Atlanta and Minnesota. I'll take the Vikings to win. It's going to be close, but I trust Kevin O'Connell all day. We move to Monday. Tampa Bay, Houston. It's close too, but I'm going to go with the Texans to get the victory there based on a big defensive play from Will Anderson. Los Angeles Chargers, Las Vegas Raiders. I'll take the Chargers to win on the road.
All right, Justin. I kind of stopped it late, but it's 1:56. I stopped it 2 seconds late by accident. I accidentally clicked loop or lap, whatever that is. But I stopped it 2 seconds late. You're 1:56. 1:56. So a second slower, but I felt like you went way faster, Justin.
No, I was trying. There were some I was jumping right through, and then some I was, kind of going a little bit more in depth. But I'm happy with it. Are you?
Okay, cool.
Are you feeling you're ready to rock?
Absolutely. When you're ready.
All right, ready? 3, 2, and 1. Go.
All right. Thursday night football. Give me the Packers beating the Commanders. Then we go to Cincinnati, where I think they get back on track. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase connect for 2 touchdowns. Give me the Bengals over the Jags. Dallas. I think this is going to be a tough defensive battle. Give me the Cowboys winning on a game-winning field goal. Detroit and Chicago, I think Jared Goff dominates with 4 touchdowns. Give me the Lions at home. Tennessee and the Rams. Man, this one's a tough one. I think that Cam Ward makes it interesting, but give me the Rams steal one off the road. Miami, New England. I think New England kind of dominates Miami in the second half. Give me the Patriots. New Orleans and San Francisco. I'm actually going to go with the Saints and Spencer Rattler getting his, first career win as a starting quarterback. I think that Mac Jones being there, it does help, but no Purdy, no Kittle. I just think that the Saints take advantage of that. We go to New York where they host the Bills. I think this is another shootout, but give me the Bills stealing one late. Again, the Jets heartbroken once again, back-to-back weeks. We go to the Steelers where DK Metcalf, revenge game against the Seahawks. Give me the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers still on fire. TJ Watt with 2 sacks. Give me the Pittsburgh Steelers. Baltimore Ravens and Cleveland. I mean, did I say more? The Ravens. We go to Indianapolis where this is a tricky game there, Justin, but I'm going to go with Denver. But I'm going to say potential upset alert. Just potential upset alert. And then we go to Arizona where we see Kyler versus Bryce Young. 2 former number one picks overall. Very interesting. Give me the Cardinals to win at home. I think James Conner has a great game. We go to Kansas City for a Super Bowl rematch. Man, this is the biggest rivalry right now. This is Patrick Mahomes' biggest rival outside of Tom Brady is Jalen Hurts. I'm going to go with Kansas City to have a great second half and to steal one at home. Give me the Chiefs. Minnesota, Atlanta. Very interesting game. We get Penix versus McCarthy. I love that matchup so much. Give me McCarthy to once again, and he stays on fire for the whole game. Give me the Vikings. Houston and Tampa Bay. I'm going to go with my hometown team, my team, the Texans. I'm very nervous. I think Baker can have a good game. So can Bucky Irvin, but give me the Texans. And then finally, Chargers at Vegas Raiders. I will take the Chargers.
All right. You had 219. So this is much slower than your original or your week 1 trial, but I think that you did a really good job. And there are some takes that we definitely need to discuss that we have differed on. Now, we'll start with the first game on the Sunday slate that we discussed. I have the Jacksonville Jaguars winning on the road. I know, I think it's a little bit of a hot take, but I'm sticking with it. You have the Bengals, but do you foresee that it's still going to be a game that the Bengals are kind of getting back into what we see them, or you think they're going to be back, like this is the week that we see kind of fireworks from Joe Burrow and the team?
No, Justin, I think we're going to see fireworks from Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase for sure. I know a lot of fantasy owners were very frustrated with Jamar Chase's 4.6 fantasy points on Sunday, and I love it. The matchup is beautiful to me. We are going to see some plays with Jamar Chase lining against Travis Hunter, so I'm excited to see that if that ends up being consistent on drives where we see Travis Hunter's defensive snaps go up. I'm very interested to see if he lines up against Jamar Chase. To me, I know this is only Travis Hunter's second career game in the NFL, but to me, that's somewhat popcorn, right? Because, Travis Hunter did win a Heisman from being a receiver, but part of that of him being a corner helped that as well. So I'm very interested in that. But I mean, honestly, Jamar Chase is obviously no doubt ranked number 1 in my fantasy rankings for wide receivers this week. He's going to have a dominant game back home. It's Joe Burrow, and I think they're going to have a great game.
Yeah, no, I think a number of things. I still think Cincinnati, personally, will be working the kinks out, so I guess that's where we differ in our perspective on this game. And honestly, I'm reading into something that is just not there at all, but we have a matchup of LSU phenomenal wide receiver, and on the other side, an LSU phenomenal wide receiver, and maybe Brian Thomas Jr. is obviously everybody has their eyeballs thinking that, he's Jamar Chase is the best LSU wide receiver in this game. Well, no. I am here to kind of change that narrative. And I think Brian Thomas Jr. is in for a big game. Especially it'll be somewhat of a bounce back game from last week. I know he got in the end zone, but he only had 1 reception. So I think that the Jacksonville Jaguars are going to be interesting here. Now, the next one I think we definitely need to talk about is your upset pick here with the New Orleans Saints taking down the 49ers. What do you think leads to that victory for the New Orleans Saints?
You know what? I'm going to go with a player that's been in this league for a while, and I'm going to say Cam Jordan there. I think Cam Jordan is going to have a great defensive game. He's going to get a couple sacks on Mac Jones. And you know what? With Kyle Shanahan being here in the San Francisco 49ers, I just feel like his whole tenure he's just had injuries after injuries. I mean, with Garoppolo, I mean, they go to a Super Bowl and then he gets hurt the following year, and then it's like they get Trey Lance, and then he gets hurt, has a devastating leg injury. He's not the same, and then Garoppolo comes back, he gets hurt again, and then Purdy's here, and now he's getting hurt, and NFC Championship's hurt, and then now I mean, it's just I feel bad for Shanahan. He's dealt with a lot of injuries, but I just think that Kellen Moore is putting together a game plan, right? And I saw some things that in New Orleans that, you know what, I kind of like. And I think that Chris Olave could have a pretty good game. Kamara, he had a touchdown, a receiving touchdown, which I think he's going to have a great game there, Justin. And so I think Rashid Shaheed gets involved. I think Brandon Cooks could get involved. Juwan Johnson had a pretty good game as well last week for a tight end. And I think this offense is going to get rolling. I know Robert Saleh is calling plays for defense in San Francisco, but I just think that Kellen Moore, it's going to be the battle of a really elite offensive coordinator who's at head coach and going up against a former head coach who's a really elite defensive coordinator, Robert Saleh. And I think that's a really good matchup there, Justin. We're not looking at players in particular. We're looking at coordinators who is a head coach now and once was a head coach. So these are two elite coordinators at heart going up against each other, and I think that Kellen Moore is going to get the best of them.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting take on it. The Saints I agree with you. They did show me, I was impressed by what I saw from them last week. I think they did better than what I had expected them to be. They kept that game close against Arizona. Now they get to host, or they hosted last week, but they also get to host another NFC West team that is going through injuries. You know, that is a tough thing. No Kittle, maybe no Jennings. McCaffrey's always kind of iffy. Nah. Brock Purdy might not be playing. So there is a handful of things on the table that could to turn that in favor. I would say if you had an upset of the week, that'd probably be your pick. For me, my upset of the week will probably be the Bears pick based on these plus minuses. I think the Bears upsetting Detroit is definitely worth discussing here. I think that I was impressed from what I saw from the Bears. I think Caleb Williams took a step forward. I know the end of the game wasn't that pretty, but we saw more flashes. Him and Ben Johnson, they looked like they were explosive, and they were in command of the game for a lot of it. So I think that as Detroit continues to struggle, I think the Bears take advantage.
I want to say something, Justin. Last year, we saw this game together. It was on Thanksgiving. Ben Johnson was on the opposite sideline. And now, Justin, we can kind of see where things left off. You know, maybe if Eberflus calls a timeout or makes a better play call to get him deeper into field goal range, that game could have gone into overtime. And now, Justin, Ben Johnson's on the opposite sideline now, leading Caleb. And I love it. I think it's kind of like a foreshadowing of last year, right? And you and I were together. Me and you are right in front of your TV. Timeout, all the time. I mean, you and I are screaming at the TV. Are they going to call a timeout? Are they going to? And it escalates where we're like, call the timeout, man. We're like getting mad and saying things, against the TV, and that's might be hurtful to the TV, but still, now it's like to be continued, and now it's the continued part. Like, here we go. Like, Caleb's like, all right, don't worry, I'm going to be back with someone. Now he's back with Ben Johnson, and, I'm excited to see that matchup. Before we get through all the matchups, Justin, I have one more upset alert before we get through all the other matchups. If I did have one more upset alert, it is Denver, Indianapolis. I want to call that the Peyton Manning Bowl that they're going to have in Lucas Oil Stadium. I wonder if number 18 is going to be there in attendance. I'm pretty sure maybe. But you know what? I think that Indianapolis, they have a chance. And it's kind of like when Peyton Manning was there, right? And he made his return to Indianapolis. They were the heavily favorite Denver Broncos. I want to say this was his MVP year where he threw for over 50 touchdowns. But the Colts upsetted them on Sunday Night Football. That's kind of like what it reminds me a little bit. Last week, Denver didn't look all that great against Tennessee. I think Tennessee could have won the game, but if it wasn't for Cam Ward being a rookie, I think Cam Ward would have ultimately drove down the field, tied the game, and maybe won in overtime. But I did not like what I saw at Denver. Not to mention, Evan Ingram did get hurt. I think it was a calf injury. He did not return. He is questionable to this weekend's game, and I think that is a key piece for this Denver offense. It's just going to be the Courtland Sutton show. There's not many receivers that I'm really trusting, and Bo Nix didn't have all that great of a game. He threw 2 picks last week against the Titans. So now going to Indianapolis, where Daniel Jones and this Colts offense riding high from a big win against Miami last week. I think Shane Steichen is loving the homestand, right? They've been home for now over a month, right, since their last preseason game. And I think that the rest is going to help them out. And this is a 3 o'clock game. And so I don't know. I think that the Colts could, obviously I picked Denver, but this is a big upset.
Yeah, no, I mean, I went with the Colts, so I also agree with you here. I think that the Denver Broncos looked a little sloppy last week against Tennessee at home, and I think they'll improve over the next few weeks, but I don't think it's going to be a overnight switch. So I think that that's definitely going to be a thing, and for some reason, I just keep going back to that game last year they had, and the Colts were really in it. I think it was with Anthony Richardson, if I'm not wrong, and it was tight, and then Jonathan Taylor breaks out for a big run and going into the end zone, fumbles right before it just because he let go of the ball. He wasn't even tackled or anything. And then that just spiraled, and then they got dominated. And I think the next week they lost to the Giants. So I think that they're in for revenge. I think they remember this game. I know it's a different quarterback, but I think that they are in line to win this one. I'm actually surprised. I was looking at the entire slate, and I realized that I picked 9 out of the 16 games for the away team to win, which I think is probably the most I've ever done. But it's fun to pick a little bit of upsets, even though I guess some of these road games are the road team is actually favored, like the Rams, like the Niners, like the Bills, like the Broncos. I guess the last game I kind of want to discuss before we wrap up is the Super Bowl rematch. So
Yes.
I put the Eagles, you put the Chiefs. This game is going to be interesting and close to the end. But what do you think's kind of the outlook of this game, and how will it be different or same to the Super Bowl?
Well, I want to say this, Justin, and I mentioned this during the rapid picks. Outside of Tom Brady, who is the best quarterback of all time, to me, in my rankings, Patrick Mahomes goes to second or third out of all-time QB rankings. Kind of toggle it around with Joe Montana, maybe want to throw Peyton Manning or John Elway, whoever. I think Patrick Mahomes is the second best quarterback of all time. But his biggest rival outside of Tom Brady is Jalen Hurts. And I know everybody in the NFL media and the network wants to say, oh, no, it's Josh Allen, or no, it's Lamar Jackson. But Justin, none of these quarterbacks, maybe, and you know what? It's not even Joe Burrow. I'm sorry. Yes, Joe Burrow had a good season against Mahomes where he beat him in the regular season and then went to Arrowhead and beat him again. But I'm sorry. I think Patrick Mahomes has got the best of him in their last couple matchups. And I just think that conversation is washed away. It could return, but it's Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is his biggest competitor. I'm looking against all their matchups, right? The first time they ever went against each other, Jalen Hurts was in his second year in the league, and I don't think they had gotten A.J. Brown yet, right? So
it was his first year.
It was his first year, and I don't think Sirianni was there, right? It was still Doug Peterson.
For the Super Bowl?
No, the first matchup in Lincoln Financial, where Tyreek Hill had 3 touchdowns and 200 yards. And that matchup I don't really hold against the Eagles because, I just don't think that this was a matchup that both teams are developed. And if I'm looking it up right, it was, oh my gosh, 42-30. Tyreek Hill did have what? 186 yards and 3 touchdowns. That was before A.J. Brown got there, and I don't think Sirianni. I think Sirianni was probably there, probably his first year. Anyways, Justin, that matchup you take out of hand. Then they meet in the Super Bowl, right? A shootout. Jalen Hurts fumbles. That's the key difference. Also, the pass interference on Juju Smith-Schuster, which led the Chiefs to milk the clock and get that game-winning field goal. And then the last 2 matchups, there was a Monday Night Football. I want to say this was in 2023, where it was a close game. The Eagles stole it. There was two plays in that last possession for the Chiefs where they could have caught it. I think Kadarius was all open and he dropped it. And then there was another play where Patrick Mahomes just got and he just couldn't make the pass. And then the Monday Night Football Hurts left with a victory. And then who could forget this year's Super Bowl in New Orleans? There was a blowout, 40-6 up until the last quarter where they got a couple garbage time touchdowns, and now it's very even. This is one of the best rivalries that we're going to see. I'm so glad that, the Eagles and Chiefs are a different conference. They're not going to face each other every year, even if they do win the divisions like normal, where Josh Allen sees Lamar and Patrick Mahomes every year. But Jalen Hurts, this is another matchup we can add to this collection of matchups, this rivalry. This is a rivalry. This is going to be one of the rivalries that we look back like, dang, they got the Super Bowl off each other, Justin. Mahomes got his second on Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts got his first ever Super Bowl on Mahomes. So this is a rivalry, in my opinion, Justin. One of the best quarterback rivalries. We're not going to see this every year because they're not in the same conference and stuff like that. But I would say, Dween Nation, enjoy this matchup because we might not see it for another couple years. And who knows if these squads are going to be the same? You just never know how off seasons play out. But just real quick to go into the game before I send it back to you, Justin, I like Hollywood Brown to have a great game. I'm very interested to see, Devontae Smith didn't have a good game, and they only had like 1 or 2 catches in the opener against Dallas. And I think I'm very interested to see, like, do they involve him? Like, he had that dagger touchdown in the Super Bowl. Do they get him involved? How does Saquon Barkley do? Because he didn't do good. I mean, he did okay against him in the Super Bowl. Wasn't needed all that much. Does he have a big game? Does he get in the end zone? I'm very curious to see how Spags tries to stop the rushing game in Arrowhead. Because the last time they played in the regular season was in Arrowhead. They did not have Saquon Barkley at that point in time. So a lot of things that I'm looking into, Justin. I'm going to be all eyes on that game. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the loss of Xavier Worthy literally flipped me. I was probably going to pick the Chiefs to win because, they got embarrassed in the Super Bowl, and this is like probably a revenge spot where they're just upset they lost, and this is their chance to kind of get their revenge and their payback for it. But looking at it, man, for Mahomes not having Rashee Rice or Xavier Worthy, which maybe they thought, or I thought they would have 3 weeks ago. They don't have either of them, and Kelsey looks slow, and the running game looks inefficient and all muddled and not interesting, and the defense kind of struggled against Justin Herbert. I just don't see that Chiefs team going out and winning, even though it is at home and you have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. So it's like, I could be a dummy saying against it, but there's a lot of things I think, stacking up against them. And on the Philadelphia side, they have everybody back. I know some defensive pieces are gone, but AJ Brown, who had a really bad game in week 1, he's got to bounce back from that. Same with Devonta Smith, as you mentioned. So I do think that the Eagles are in line to win this game. I think Jalen Hurts and the mindset of Philadelphia is like, we don't want to go in here. We beat them in the Super Bowl, but if they beat us here, maybe people think, we're just not as good as we used to be. No, they're going to try to show up in this game. And so that's why I have the Eagles winning it. But Dween Nation, let us know your picks, your predictions here. Are we way off? Are we spot on? And kind of just let's create more discussion around this week's slate of games. But thank you guys for listening. And Genoa, send us out.
Yo, Dween Nation, this was our rapid fire picks for week 2. I'm very excited. I know I've been saying this a lot. I'm so excited for this weekend. I'll be all eyes Thursday night, all day Sunday. It's going to be a very exciting weekend there. Thank you guys for watching. Let us know if you have any picks that you feel very strongly about that will happen. Let us down below in the comments there. Follow us on TikTok. Keep in touch with us. But thank you guys for watching. We love you guys. And as always, peace.